Get an LS motor, they say. Easy swap outs, they say. Best motor on the market, they say. Oh man, give me a 350, give me 327, give me a 305. Hell, give me a 318, 360, 340. I'll do circles around them things, but I'm in the middle of doing this Suburban that my wife drives daily, and had a ticking noise in it, and apparently the lifter collapsed. And let's see if I can get that up there. Look at that. And even with it's not even focused, you can tell the damage on that lifter. So after I pulled that out and found that out, of course you all know on the other parts of the video here, I finally got the camshaft out. And on the number 2, this lobe right here, man, it's got one heck of a flat spot from that lifter ticking on it. You probably can't see it in the camera, but it is flat. It boogered up, so I had to change it out. So I managed to get one, order one, got a good deal on one for $100, brand new. Got a brand new one, and right now down here, what aggravates the fire out of me is about the oil pump. And then you got some of them that's got the chain tensioners on them. Some of them don't. I don't know what generations they are or whatever. But I was watched a couple videos on YouTube, and this is why I'm sharing this. This was number 2 cylinder, and excuse me. After a day I've had, it is right now 9:15 at night. I've been on the go since 5 o'clock this morning. Had a CDL examination to do for a person, so he can get his CDLs. Come home, ran around, got some stuff, got some cam lube and things like that. Get this cam put in. Also, I went out and picked up some dowel rods, where you take the 5/16 dowel rods and you stick them in to keep the lifters up in place to where they don't fall down when you pull it out. And like I say, the old Chevrolets, all you had to do is remove the intake manifold, the valve covers, pull the rockers out, pop the lifters out, put the lifters back in, remove the cam, whatever you need to do. These LS engines, you got to remove the head in order to get to the damn lifters. And then when it comes to this stuff to where, you know, you want to replace a timing chain or something like that, you got to remove the oil pump. In order to remove the oil pump, you got to remove the oil pan. You know, this is my beef about them. The best thing about these LS motors, yeah, they could be real good motors, fine. Yeah, they're all aluminum, everything else like that. Best thing about doing one of these is just go ahead and yank the son of a bitch out of the vehicle, put it on an engine stand, do all your mods right there, then stick it back in the vehicle. You know, you got to remove a whole bunch of stuff just to drop an oil pan. And I am not going to drop an oil pan if I absolutely don't have to. But I was sweating it today, and that's the reason why I'm drinking a beer right now, because one of these dowel rods stuck it in there, and the son of a buck just snapped. I was like, oh my God, I was getting ready to, had me nervous. If it snapped inside the motor, I'd game over. But I purchased some, these are oak, 5/16 dowel rods. Let's see, you can get a sticker on this one. But what come out to, I didn't use these. Didn't use them. Because it got to the point where I had to sand them down, especially on the passenger side of the motor. The dowel rod wouldn't go in. It would not go in. So I had to shave it till it finally went in. Of course, you got to work them a little bit, but these suckers were sticking. So luckily for me, earlier, you know those little driveway rods you put in your down at the end of the driveway or whatever, you stick them in the ground, they're reflective and they're bright orange and stuff. They're made of fiberglass. So I got a pair of these and I started cutting them down. Well, the driver's side, I put a point on them too. Well, some of them come with a point automatically. but I cut this one down the size to fit in. But the driver's side slipped right on in. Sure, you had to work it in there to get them lifters, to hold them lifters up. It worked fine on the driver's side. When I go to the passenger side, this booger did not want to go in whatsoever. It was like something was seriously restricting it. And that's when I started out with the dowel rods first. And oh my, it had me worried so bad. It just would not go in. Turn the cam, get the lifters up, get them locked in place in the trays and all that good stuff. But that one, it almost snapped on me. Was very, very scary. Matter of fact, here is the one. It snapped before I even got it even halfway in, and luckily I was managed to grab it and get the darn thing out of there. And whoever, I watched a lot of these videos where the guys are doing these, just putting these 5/16 dowel rods in, and they just put them right in like ease. But not in my situation. And I'm so paranoid of dropping a lifter down the oil pan. And there you go. I gotta take the oil pan off. So over one measly regular old hydraulic lifter. It wasn't a DOD lifter. So, and by the way, I went to stock a DOD cam. I didn't do no modifications. Not eliminating the DOD on this thing. My wife's preference. I said, well, okay, you drive it every day, so we're going to do it that way. So, but if I ever had one of these, it'd have to be on an engine stand to do all my mods on it. I've already taken the head off of the passenger side just to get the lifter out to replace it. And my God, the gaskets on these things are expensive compared to back in the day when you had the 305s, 327s, 350s, all that, or Mopars, 318s, 340s, 360s. And you go to buy a head gasket, $58 just for one head gasket. And the torquing specs on them. Torque it down 30 degrees. After you do all your pattern, then you got to pull it down to the torque and then go to 90 degrees and mark all your marks. This is crazy, I'm telling you. I don't know. I'm just friggin' old school. I am just old school. But here, I'll show you down here what I've got. I still got the rod still stuck in the block, holding the lifters up. I do got the new cam in, and hopefully, I was a nervous wreck pulling the cam out, and hopefully, God forbid, that the lifter didn't drop down inside the block. And right now, it's late at night, and I'm going to call it quits right here and leave it at that. And now the next step is to make sure I get my timing marks proper on the timing chain when I put it back together, because I did not remove the oil pump. The oil pump was still there, even with the cam tensioner down there. I mean, with the chain tensioner on it. And the other ones I've seen in the videos, they didn't have a chain tensioner on them. I've seen a couple videos where they're still in the vehicle and don't recall seeing a chain tensioner on it. And everything required for pulling the pump off, and the next thing you know, you gotta drop the pan. Then they got some few tricks to where you can pull the pump off, where you can get underneath there, get that one little bolt just for that pickup tube. And I'm looking at this thing and trying to get my fingers underneath. And oh my God, no way! I have to pull the pan. And then when you got to pull the pan when it's in the vehicle, there's a lot of stuff you got to remove. It could be the exhaust pipe. It could be the crossover member. And if it's four-wheel drive, you have to drop the front differential down. So I never had so much problems of dealing with something like this. But the old Chevrolets, the only time you ever had to drop the oil pan down if you really had to change the oil pump. And in cases like that, you just jack the thing up, remove the motor mount bolts, the two bolts that goes into the motor mount, and you just jack it up with a jack off the harmonic balancer, and lift it up a little bit, and the pan drop right on down, no problem at all. Plenty of elbow room and everything. I don't know, I just want to cram everything all in together, all tight and all. And another thing I was running across, thank God, I got my resources here. I mean, I've got every tool in under the sun to do these things. But the harmonic balancer, heck, I got all kinds of harmonic balancer pullers. But heck, I had to use a three-jaw puller from Harbor Freight just to get the harmonic balancer off. Of course, they make certain other ones that'll fit in there to pull it off. But that was a bear. And getting the bolt done. That bolt was another bear. Well, luckily, I had to use I don't know if I still got it here or not. Oh, yeah, here we go. I had to use a breaker bar with an extension cheater bar on top of the breaker bar and slide this daggone $2 pry bar down in there and prop it up against the I guess the air conditioning mount. Got it wedged in there to where I could take the daggone and break that 240 foot-pounds of torque. Now my thing is, when I go put that harmonic balancer back in, am I going to get the 240 foot-pounds of torque? I think I might have to go borrow a torque wrench from somebody to get the torque specs just right on the harmonic balancer. And something else was on here that was pretty tight too. Well, yeah, the sprocket on the timing chain, the top sprocket goes on the camshaft. So I tell you what, I'm going to show you some stuff down here, what I've done. And I don't want to be long-winded about this because I just want to make it short, sweet, and to the point, and don't want to be ratchet jawing about everything, but just want to stand on my soapbox a little bit about these LS engines. Yeah, they make great engines, sure, as long as they're on a motor stand. And then when you get done doing it, put it back in, then pull it back out, do what you got to do, put it back in. I don't know. Alrighty, I'm going to go down here and show you what the other things are. Are you going to turn off? There you go. Well, here, let me do it this way. Okay. As I was saying about that, and here's my whole situation. And, well, like I say, you got the oil pump, you got a chain tensioner. These are the two rods I've managed to get in. This one here went in fine. This one here, oh my goodness, I was sweating bullets on it. But of course, on my head, I got all the push rods out and everything else, and I was sticking push rod in there as I was turning the cam to make sure the lifters were up. But even though with these rods in, I can still turn that cam and I can still feel the lifter being pushed up. But I know the concept of it is the size of the lifter, and when you put the rods in, it rides on that edge right there. It rides on the edge, so that's where it holds it. It holds it up into place. It's right along in that area right there, and it's very little bit of holding on. So I was worried about getting this rod too thin. You know, I had to thin it down on a grinder, on my grinding wheel, and put it in a drill. Put a drill on it and spun it and went across my grinder to thin it out. So. My finger got in the way there. So I had to thin that one out. This rod is thinner than this rod. I don't understand it. Maybe somebody put a comment in and tell me what's going on, but this one here is 5/16. Went right on in. Of course, had to do a little forcing and rotate the cam a little bit, and it went right in. But this one here, it had me worried. I've already snapped off a dowel rod, and luckily it didn't snap off with inside the engine, or I've really been in a pickle. So that's what I got for this update part. So I hope you all learned something from it through my experience, and I know that's the only thing went bad was a hydraulic lifter. It wasn't one of those other lifters that we're all talking about, the DOD with the locking mechanisms in them and everything else. So, but oh boy. Alrighty, let me get back at it. Well, got her going, got it all together. It's 6 o'clock next day. Went to bed kind of late, tired. Went to bed about 9 o'clock, 9:30. Got up this morning and spent all day buttoning this back up. But the ticking is gone. No more tick, 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 tick. Fluids are topped off. Just finished that. Just finished putting the top on it. This hose piece and this piece right here where I take off to get the radiator out. But it's done, and I'm happy with it. Sweating bullets. Gave me one hell of a workout for an old fart like me, but I knew I could do it with all the tools and equipment I've got here in the shop, and that's what they're here for. So, alrighty, I'll give you some more updates here after a bit.